is a reimagining of a 90s indie art house classic from Ang Lee, now through the eyes of Andrew Ahn. It's The Wedding Banquet. It is in theaters. Sadly, the original 1993 Ang Lee film is nowhere to be found. You cannot stream it. Maybe there's a video store that exists in your world where you can watch it. I would love to have revisited it.
Same here. Yeah. Guess, I'm gonna bang that drum again. Physical media. You can't rely on anybody to like keep the movies you want to see around when you want to see them unless you have your own copy.
What are we supposed to do exactly?
We gotta de-queer the house. You.
What?
You look gay.
This is Andrew Ahn, actually collaborating with James Schamus, who wrote the original one with Ang Lee. And the first one is, kind of built around the idea of gay marriage not really being a legal thing. So obviously this version is different. We have two lead couples, Lily Gladstone and Kelly Marie Tran, are a lesbian couple who are trying to conceive via IVF. And renting the house out back are their closest friends, Bowen Yang and Han Ji-chan. Han's family back in Korea is very wealthy, but he is on a student visa and wants to get married to Bowen Yang's character, but he is sort of reticent to do so because the lesbians have run out of money for the IVF. Han's character named Min makes a deal with them. It's like, I will marry Angela, Kelly Marie Tran's character, and that will keep my family off my back, and you guys can afford your IVF. Everything's great. Of course, everything gets more complicated. Mm-hmm. While the original one is structured very much as kind of a farce, mm-hmm. in that it is about a gay man trying to keep his family from knowing that he's gay and, dealing with the relative proximity of his actual boyfriend. This one has kind of the shape of a farce, but Andrew Ahn is not really interested in the sort of wacky misunderstanding, slam door stuff. He's a filmmaker who, if you've seen, Driveways and Spa Night, and even to an extent, probably his most successful movie, Fire Island, is really about his characters. He's a really, I think, humane filmmaker. And, lets us know these characters and care about them and care what's going to happen to them. And so this is a movie that is less about pulling one over on somebody or the sort of shenanigans of mistaken identity, and really kind of more about these couples and what they want and what they mean to each other and how they sort of face these next steps, whether those next steps are about marriage or about children or just sort of, kind of solidifying their relationships. I love this movie. I've not seen the Ang Lee one in a long time, so my memories of it are a little sketchy, and I've always liked it. And it was definitely, I think, for 1993, felt very bold and progressive and different. It wasn't new queer cinema, but it was also, respectful and understanding about queer relationships and centering them. This movie is just this sort of wonderful character study, and not just of the main four, but you have Joan Chen playing the mother of Kelly Marie Tran's character, who is like the ultimate sort of pushy P-flag mom. And then you have Oscar winner Yuh-jung as the Korean grandmother who comes over, and things take a somewhat surprising turn with her once she arrives. She's not what we initially think she's going to be. I really am a fan of Andrew Ahn's films. This is now his fourth feature, and I think all of them really work, and really they're great about sort of capturing a geographic specificity, but also I think really giving you these characters in a way that's deep and meaningful and moving. You like his characters, and you want to spend time with them, and you hope for the best for them, and all of that is very much on display here, I think.
Yeah, I think expectations are key with this. Like, if you've seen the original Wedding Banquet and you remember it, as you said, being a farce, it's not. It's more low key than that. It's more downbeat than that. A little softer, a little slower, a little more intimate. I think that the Seattle setting does a lot for that, because there's sort of like a woodsy treehouse kind of crunchy granola vibe. Lily
A lot of bird
Gladstone
watching
character.
in this movie.
Yeah, Lily Gladstone's character works at like a queer community center, and yeah, Bowen Yang's character is like a bird watching group leader, and so there's like a kind and gentle quality to the day ins and day outs of their life, even when there are these big decisions that they have to make about their relationships, about their futures, about becoming parents, and changing the dynamic of what this foursome has been like for so long. Bowen Yang has really developed a lot as a dramatic actor. You know, I think we think of him from SNL. He's got a very specific type of character he plays so delightfully on SNL. He got to show some glimmers of this side of him in Fire Island, but this version of The Wedding Banquet really calls on him to do a lot more. And I think he's getting there. You know, the depth is developing.
I think he pulls off what he is asked to do here dramatically, and it is more than than he usually gets. But I think it's important to point out this is a funny movie at times as well. Like there is a lot of character comedy here, as much as it's also very much kind of a drama about relationships.
Right, because there's some like mistaken identity kind of fish out of water stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
There's some like cultural specificity, as you say, but not in a mocking or mean way, like in a lighthearted, very affectionate way that is respectful, but also very funny as a source of physical comedy. So I enjoyed that. Yeah, Yuh-jung is just like a delight. Like she and Joan Chen both, between this and Dee Dee for Joan Chen, like it's so great to see her playing these roles where there's a whole lot more to this woman than you would expect. You know, she's she's like a real estate agent, right? So she's got to be perky and on all the time. But then she has to also kind of confront her performative nature in being like, I'm the queer mom, and like, who's that for? And so that's an interesting source of tension there that you don't see very often.
Yeah, usually with, I think for parents of queer characters in movies, it's either like, oh, the shame of it all, or, oh, I'm coming around, or like, yes, I'm on your side. And this one, it falls into a really interesting, kind of a complicated space that we haven't seen before, I think, in a movie. And I really like how she tackles that. I think, but in both here and Dee Dee, she is very canny about taking on roles that are more than like the mom. You know, these are women who have their own story. These are women who could be the central character in their own film because there's so much going on there. And she really embraces those complexities and complications. And I more Joan Chen, please, filmmakers. She's killing it right now.
We got to mention the casting director is our friend Jenny Ju.
Yes. All right.
Yes,
well done.
Good. I texted her afterward. I'm like, beautiful work. Because it's a lovely ensemble. They're all like really well chosen and they work so well together. And I thought it was good. So and like the score is lovely. And just like he takes his time, Andrew Ahn, to like let us sit with these people in a living room with some beautiful sunlight coming through it and just like watch them have a conversation. So if you want wacky antics, they're here and there, but that's not what
they're
this
scattered
really about.
I also like Bobo Lee as Bowen Yang's niece. I thought she was terrific.
Oh, right. So what's your number then on this remake of The Wedding Banquet?
I'm a 9. I was really delighted by this film, and I hope that whether or not whatever your feelings are about the Ang Lee version, I hope you give this one a shot too.
Yes, I will say an 8. It's really good. Yeah, I mean, they're like the bones are there; they're the same, but it's a very, very different kind of movie. So, Wedding Banquet is in theaters. Go check it out.